At last, he said, there was something worm-eaten from your birth. He used the word vermolu.
What did he mean by that?
I didn't understand either and begged him to explain himself more clearly. The old cynic said, "Gah."
What did he say?
He said the sins of the fathers are visited upon the children.
The sins of the fathers.
I very nearly struck him in the face.
The sins of the fathers.
Yes, what do you think of that? Of course, I assured him that such a thing was out of the question. But do you think he gave in? No. He stuck to it. It was only when I produced your letters and translated the passages related to Father.
But then?
Then, of course, he had to admit that he was on the wrong track. And so I learned the truth, the incomprehensible truth. I ought not to have taken part with my comrades in that light-hearted, glorious life of theirs. It had been too much for my strength, so I had brought it upon myself.
Oswald! No, do not believe it.
No other explanation was possible, he said. That's the awful part of it. Incurably ruined for life by my own heedlessness. All that I meant to have done in the world, I never dare think of it again. I'm not able to think of it again. Ugh! If I could only live over again and undo all that I've done. I mean, if it had only been something inherited, something one wasn't responsible for. But this, to have thrown away so shamefully, thoughtlessly, recklessly, one owns happiness, one owns health, everything in the world, one's future, one's very life.
No, my dear boy, this is impossible. Things are not so desperate as you think.
Oh, you don't know. And then, Mother, to cause you all this sorrow, many a time I have almost wished and hoped that at bottom, you didn't care so very much about me.
I, Oswald? My only boy. You are all I have in this world, the only thing I care about.
Yes, I see it. And when I'm at home, I see it, of course. And that's almost the hardest part for me. But now you know the whole story, and now we won't talk of it anymore today. I daren't think of it any longer. Give me something to drink, Mother.
To drink?
Anything. You have some cold punch?
Yes, but my dear Oswald.
Don't refuse me, Mother. Don't be kind now, or do be kind.
Okay.
All right, guys. So, when you say to drink, and you say just anything you want, I think you can sort of stand up at that point, and then go ahead and cross.
She's talking to.
Are you?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because at that point, you just have so much like frantic, nervous energy from the story that.
So I'm crossing to that back table.
Yeah. Just because there's a window there.
Okay.
And then when you're there, you can tell your mother, "Don't refuse me." So you can have a little bit of a confrontation there when you're standing up. So you are in a bit more of a position of power, looking down on your mother at that point. And so that's why you can stand up and walk over the window. Does that make sense? Yeah, all right there. Yeah, let's just try that again.
From the same line, the verbal line?
No, let's go from when he asks for something to drink.
Okay.
Let's start there.
So from his line?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I see it. When I'm at home, I see it, of course. And that's almost the hardest part for me, but now you know the whole story, and now we won't talk of it anymore today. I daren't think of it any longer. Give me something to drink, Mother.
Drink? What do you want to drink now?
Oh, anything you like. You have some cold punch in the house.
Yes, but my dear Oswald.
Don't refuse me, Mother. Do be kind now. I must have something to wash down all these gnawing thoughts. And then it's so dark here. This ceaseless rain. It may go on week after week, months altogether, never to get a glimpse of the sun. I can't recollect ever even seeing the sunshine all this time I've been home.
Oswald, you are thinking of going away from me.
I'm not thinking of anything. I can't think of anything. I like thinking alone.
Did you ring, ma'am? Yes, let us have the lamp in. Yes, ma'am, it's ready lighted. Oswald, be frank with me.
Well, so I am, Mother. I think I've told you enough.
Regina, you may bring us a small bottle of champagne. Very well, ma'am.
It's just what I wanted. I knew Mother wouldn't let her boy go thirsty.
My own poor darling Oswald, how could I deny you anything now?
Is that true, Mother? Do you mean
How? What?
that you couldn't deny me anything?
My dear Oswald. Shall I open it?
No, I'll do it myself.
What was it you meant? That I mustn't deny you?
First, let us have a glass. Or two.
Thanks, not for me.
Oh, won't you? Then I will.
Well,
Tell me, I thought you and Pastor Manders seemed so odd, so quiet at dinner today.
did you notice it?
Yes. Tell me, what do you think of Regina?
What do I think?
Yes. Isn't she splendid?
My dear Oswald, you don't know her as I do.
Well,
Regina unfortunately was allowed to stay at home too long. I ought to have taken her earlier to my house.
yes. But isn't she splendid to look at, Mother?
Regina has many serious faults.
What does that matter?
Oh, but I am fond of her. And I am responsible for her. I wouldn't for all the world have any harm happen to her.
Mother, Regina is my only salvation.
What do you mean by that?
I cannot going on bearing all this anguish of soul alone.
Have you not your mother to share it with you?
Yes, that's what I thought, and so I came home to you, but that will not do. I see it won't do. I cannot endure my life here.
Oswald!
I must live differently, Mother. That is why I must leave you. I will not have you looking on now.
My unhappy boy.
Hold on for a second.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of ran out of things.
So, remember when Regina comes in, you should like sigh a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, have that little moment of love. So yeah, I saw you trying to light that. That was good. I'm glad it worked. And Mrs. Alving, don't forget when he says Regina's his only salvation. At that point, you can stand up and then cross over to this corner here.
Oh, okay.
So trying to like deny what's going on, you can use that to cross down over here. So about here. And then we can have a different plane of this conversation here. Because you're further down the stage, wherever it is in the frame, right here. And so you're in a little bit more power further down the stage.
And I stay seated during that time,
Yes.
because now she has the power. Okay, I see.
Right.
Yeah,
So we've got that imbalance, yeah. And so it's definitely like a lot more power for you, mother, and you can be a lot more stern and strict with what you're saying to him in that moment. And then later, and when you say you want to live differently, then at that point you can cross back to your seat. And again, during that point, when you're basically saying like, so what, you can cross down to where she was and just command the space a little bit there.
I'm a little lost on which part she's talking about.
Right here.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we haven't gotten that far.
Okay,
So
yeah,
that's why.
Okay.
I'm just sort of prepping you for that
Okay.
moment. And then after he says Regina is his salvation, I think at that point you can just sort of be done with it. Like, wait, what do you mean? Sort of like you just sort of automatically saying no to what he's saying, and then that can give you some motivation to cross down to the corner. Because like you don't want what he's saying to happen. And so moving down gives you a little bit more power to make sure it doesn't. And when you say his name here in that line, you can be a little more forceful with it and sort of just like, really shut him down there. And then after that, you're a little bit more willing to listen, and so you can go back to your seat. When you're talking about like my unhappy boy, at that point I think you're a little bit more open, and so you can go and cross back. And so you already know all of this stuff. Right, when he's saying that you're his best friend in the world, and you're sort of trying to reignite that relationship between you two, and you're sort of really taking command of your motherly role in that moment. Like before you were telling him no, and then you went back, and he was sort of like, so what? I'm going to take the power now, and that's why he crosses down here, and then, and so during that dialogue, when you're talking about the grief and everything, and that's when you go into the moment of telling your mom that Regina is your only salvation, because you've gotten that power here, and that's where you're going with that. So we sort of reverse the roles here in terms of who has the power in the scene and who is doing the capitulating in it. Does that make sense?
I think I got it. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, so let's just put it on its feet and see how it goes.
Yeah.
Again, we'll start. When you talk about the sadness, or the dread. I think at that point, like we can make it a little more personal by having you stand up and sort of come to him. Of course, social distancing, so we don't like get right up in his face.
Maybe.
But yeah, at that point we can sort of put you both on equal footing here. And then when he says, I don't know, you can turn around and then ring the bell again for Regina. And then, again, take your seat at that point. And so you can both sit down then, that will read nicely.
Perfect.
Is that good? Any questions? Okay, so let's start again with the my salvation.
Okay. Mother, Regina is my only salvation.
What do you mean by that?
I cannot going on bearing all this anguish of soul alone.
Have you not your mother to share it with you?
Yes, that's what I thought. And so I came home to you, but that will not do. I see it won't do. I cannot endure life here.
Oswald!
I must live differently, Mother. That is why I must leave you. I will not have you looking on at it.
I'm happy, but Oswald, while you were so ill as this.
If it were only the illness, I should stay with you, Mother. You may be sure, for you are my best friend I have in the world.
Yes, indeed, I am, Oswald. Am I not?
It's all the torment, the gnawing remorse, and then the great killing dread. Ah, that awful dread.
Dread? What dread? What do you mean?
You mustn't ask me anymore. I don't know, I can't describe it. What is it you want?
I want my boy to be happy, that is what I want. You shan't go on brooding about things. More champagne? A large bottle?
Mother,
Do you think we don't know how to live here at home?
isn't she splendid to look at? How beautifully she's built and so pretty and healthy.
Sit down, Oswald. Let us talk quietly together.
I dare say you don't know, Mother, that I owe Regina some reparation.
You.
For a bit of thoughtlessness, or whatever you like to call it, very innocent, at any rate. When I was home last time,
Well,
she used to often ask me about Paris, and I used to tell her one thing and another, and then I recollect I happened to say to her one day, shouldn't you like to go there yourself?
well,
I saw her face flush, and then she said, yes, I should like it of all things. Oh, well, I replied, it might perhaps be managed, or something like that.
and then?
Of course, I'd forgotten all about it, but the day before yesterday, I happened to ask her whether she was glad I was to stay at home for so long.
Yes.
Of course, and then she gave me a strange look and asked, but what's to become of my trip to Paris?
Her trip.
And so it came out that she had taken the thing seriously, that she had been thinking of me the whole time, and had set to work to learn French.
That was why.
Mother, when I saw that fresh, lovely, splendid girl standing there before me, till then I had hardly noticed her, but when she stood there as though with open arms ready to receive me,
Oswald.
then it flashed upon me that in her lay my salvation, for I saw that she was full of the joy of life.
The joy of life? Can there be salvation in that?
I'm sorry to have been so long, but I had to go to the cellar.
And now bring another glass.
There is Mrs. Alving's glass, Mr. Alving.
Yes, but bring one for yourself, Regina. Why do you wait?
Is it Miss Alving's wish?
Drink the glass, Regina.
Have you noticed how she walks so firmly and lightly?
This can never be, Oswald.
It's a settled thing. Can't you see that? It's no use saying anything against it. Sit down, Regina.
Sit down. saying about the joy of life?
Ah. Yes. The joy of life. That's a thing you don't know much about in these parts. I've never felt it here.
Not when you are here with me?
Not when I'm at home, but you don't understand.
Yes. Yes, I think I almost understand it. Now.
And then too, the joy of work. At bottom, it's the same thing, but that too, you know nothing about.
Perhaps you are right. Tell me more about it, Oswald.
I only mean that here people are brought up to believe that work is a curse, punishment for sin, and that life is something miserable, something it would be best to have done with the sooner the better.
A veil of tears? Yes, and we certainly do our best to make it one.
But in the great world, people won't hear such things. There, nobody really believes such doctrines any longer. There, you feel it a positive bliss, an ecstasy to draw the breath of life. Mother, have you noticed that everything I've painted has turned upon the joy of life? Always. Always upon the joy of life. Light and sunshine, glorious air, radiant faces with happiness. That is why I'm afraid of remaining at home with you.
Afraid? What are you afraid of here, with me?
I'm afraid lest all my instincts should be warped into ugliness.
Is that what you think would happen?
I know it. You may live the same life here as there, and yet it won't be the same life.
Now I see the sequence of things.
What is it you see?
I see it now for the first time. And now I can speak.
Mother, I don't understand you.
Perhaps I have to go. No, stay here. Now I can speak. Now, my dear boy, you shall know the whole truth, and then you can choose. Oswald? Regina?
The pastor.
Hey.
That was a good rehearsal.